As many of you know, I've been working to develop my speaking and coaching business. And so I've spent some time in sales, marketing, and business development. And I've learned some things about things I've done right. I've learned some things about some things I've done wrong. And I've learned from my mistakes. Ed DaCosta is a faculty member with the John Maxwell team, and he talks about the 4 sales in every sale. 4 sales in every sale. And I'm going to share that process with you today. But before you tune me out and say, I'm not in sales, this isn't relevant to me, I'd like to suggest that you are in sales. It doesn't matter what profession that you're in. If you're a professional salesperson, or if you're a husband, wife, significant other, if you're a teenager that asks for the car on Friday night, or if you're going to ask someone out on a date, you are in sales. In fact, I would even go so far as to say, if you're a human being functioning on this planet with other human beings, you're in sales. You really are. And so we have the 4 sales in every sale. And I'm going to share those with you in reverse order and reverse timeline. Reverse order, reverse timeline. So, sale number 4. Sale number 4 is complete the transaction. You complete the sale. The sale is done. You're finished. You can go home to your friends, your spouse, significant other, and say, wow, I did it. The deal's done. Fine, finished. But I would like to suggest that that's where the relationship begins. Once you have made a sale, you have a chance to work with the person and develop that relationship further. For them to get to know you, you to get to know them further. For you to deliver on your product or service, and then find out where are the gaps, where are the holes. We said we could do this, did we do this? Where are future opportunities? What's the future state that I might be able to use in order to make that sale? My first experience with making a sale was that of selling newspaper subscriptions. Mike Everson and I shared a conversation out in the parking lot after Toastmasters last summer about us both being newspaper boys. And all of the skills that we learned from doing that job, that, by the way, we still use today, all of them. In fact, I encouraged Mike to give a speech on that because he really had quite the pull together for that. So that was my experience with promising delivery, that I'd be on time, that hey, the Wednesday paper is where all the bargains were, and on Sundays is where all of the big paper news stuff is. And so promising that I would accomplish that. That's your 4th sale. The 3rd sale in every sale then, as the customer buys your idea or the idea. They buy the idea. They're buying your painting of a future state and thinking that this could be accomplished. So you're having a conversation with them about the current state. You're painting the future state, and you're linking your product or service as the delivery mechanism to pull those two together. Are you with me? And so with this future state then, you're getting them to actually visualize what it is that can happen through your product or service. My experience with this was as a kid when I was 10 years old, started newspapers at 8, so at 10 years old, selling garden seeds. Now, selling garden seeds in South Dakota to someone who may not have a garden requires a little future visualization of what you're headed towards here. So I learned very quickly after many turndowns that if I was going to sell any of these darn things and make my 15 cents profit per packet, that I really needed to do something quick. So I brought these beautiful pictures of produce in. I mean, I had gorgeous pictures of tomatoes and carrots and beans and corn and all that stuff that they could see. And I'd say, now picture this. You are out in your yard. It's an hour before dinner. You go out and you pick all of this produce. And you bring it in and you clean and chop and slice and dice and cook and put it all in your pot. And then you sit down at your table and you eat it all in less than an hour. Wouldn't that be cool? They'd say, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'd say, now, I've been looking at your yard. You get this part in the back here. It doesn't even look like you ever mow it. It's full of weeds. I think it'd be the perfect place to put your garden. and help them start to visualize that. And the best time to plant these seeds is. And these need more water than these, so we're going to put this in line with the sprinkler system. Getting them to visualize that. That's the third sale in every sale. The second sale in every sale then is the customer buys you. The customer buys you. How many of you have had an experience where somebody's trying to sell you a product or a service and you look at it and think, well, yeah, you know, I could do that. I think, yeah, that probably could be a benefit to me. But you didn't like the person delivering. Anybody had that experience? Yeah? And what happens? You don't buy it, do you? You don't buy it, even though you think, well, it probably would be a pretty good idea. So the customer has to buy you. How do they buy you? It has to do with integrity and capability. Integrity and capability. Another way of saying it would be the know, like, and trust. They have to know, like, and trust who you are. But how do you create know, like, and trust with a prospective buyer? Oddly enough, it's kind of a reciprocal agreement. It works like this. You extend know, like, and trust to them. They give back to you a know, like, and trust. So I'm in a conversation with you, getting to know you as a prospective buyer, which creates a like between us. We're sharing stories, we're enjoying each other's company, we're laughing and enjoying that, which in turn creates a trust. Because I've extended that to you initially, from me to you, you give that back to me as a know, like, and trust validation of who I am. It's interesting how it works. It reminds me of Stephen M.R. Covey's landmark book, The Speed of Trust. The Speed of Trust is a book where he talks about the 4 cores of credibility, because that's really what we're talking about here, is credibility. And so his 4 cores are integrity, intent, capability, and results. Integrity, of course, being honesty. But there's another piece to integrity that is often missed, particularly today. A second piece to integrity. And that is, are you telling the whole story? Or are you leaving out stuff that would create an advantage for you, that might create a sale? Are you giving them the whole picture, the good and the bad, the stuff that's good, the stuff that falls short? That's integrity. So we have integrity right here. Right underneath of it, we have intent. Intent are the behaviors. They're the behaviors that support integrity. They're right here underneath. What behaviors do you have? Do they see you every day that you behave, including social media? I teach my little baby teachers, including social media. What intent do you have there, and what can they see from looking at that intent? Capability is simply, can you deliver that which you're promising to deliver? Can you convince them that you have the capabilities to produce what it is that you say you're going to produce? The last one of results. Results are enormously important for us, aren't they? We want to know past performance. We want to know who you've worked with. What have you done? How's it worked out? What can you cite as evidence that you have the abilities then to do these things? So that's what we're looking at when we look at those. So we've got 3 is the customer buys the idea, the steps that were there, and then the customer buys you. And then probably the most important one, certainly the first one, is that you buy you. This is the inside work that I speak about so often when I speak. It's the inside work that has to precede all the other steps. If this stuff isn't present, the other stuff will more than likely not work. So you have to buy you. How can you reasonably expect someone to buy from you if you don't buy yourself? You have to buy you. What does that mean, you buy you? It has to do with confidence. Confidence is how you show yourself. How do you present yourself? What do you look like? How do you dress? How is it that you talk, even in casual situations? What are the passions that you're connected with that people can really see that this is a passion for you in everything that you do? What are those things? So it's that competence that people are looking at, that confidence that creates this competence. Interestingly, there's a reciprocal agreement. When I extend my confidence of myself to you, you give back to me a confidence. You think that I am confident when I extend it to you, and therefore you feel that, yeah, he's pretty confident. I feel confident in him. It's a reciprocal agreement. To take this just a little bit further, we look at the confidence in the competence piece. When I extend confidence to you in such a way, what you give back to me is competence. You think I am competent because of my confidence in myself. It's an interesting agreement that's played back and forth for a long time. Think about it if you haven't actually extended that to yourself. So those are the 4 cores and the 4 sales in every sale. We've got the first one here being we complete the transaction then. The third one, actually the fourth, the third one being the customer buys the idea. Number 2 is the customer buys you. And then the first one is that you buy yourself. So that makes up the 4 sales in every sale. What I'd like to do at this point is invite Gail to come forward. And she has graciously agreed to role play this with me in the few minutes that we have together. Now keep in mind that we're going to go through these 4 cores of the sale, but they're quick. They're little tiny snapshots in the probably 5 or 6 minutes that we have to actually do this. So you may have to really look for those. But this would be a conversation that would take 45 minutes, maybe to an hour, that I would actually use with someone that I was working with. So give it a try.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. Thanks
Nice
for
to
being
meet
here
you.
with me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I picked up your little ticket here at the library.
Oh, perfect.
About
My
a
free
free
1
1
hour.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I offer a free 1 hour leadership training to your company or group. That's for all of you, by the way, if you want one of these. And I'm glad to see that you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, $997 is what you normally charge.
That's
so
what
that's
I
really
normally
good.
charge. Yeah, just
Okay.
$3 under $1,000.
Perfect.
So I would like to get to know you and your company, just to learn a little bit more. Do you mind if I ask you a few
No,
questions?
that's
So
fine.
we could maybe learn about this. So tell me briefly about your business and your product line.
Okay. Well, it's called Easy Medical, and what I do is we provide home medical equipment for people.
Oh, wow.
I have 10 employees that I've been working with.
Wonderful.
We've been doing this for about 4 years.
Yeah. What a great service to the community, much needed. And you know, with old farts like me getting older and older, we need those kind of services in the home.
It's part of my planning.
Yeah, you're planning ahead, that's good. And how long have you said you've been doing this for?
About 4
4
years.
years. So long enough to kind of get things going and to feel like maybe your employees could use some sort of focus training that would help the business run better. What does success look like to you in terms of your employees? What does that look like?
Well, I'd like to retain them, right? Because
Sure.
we spend a lot of money training them.
Yeah.
I'd like to make sure that they're well educated as far as what their job is. So I want to make sure our training is good. And then I also want to make sure that they are good at sales.
Yeah, that they connect with people and that the sales follow through and retain. Absolutely. You know, those are areas that I work in with companies all the time, and they're super important because without those, you're literally out of business. So I just really agree with you on that. If you could wave a magic wand, so you woke up tomorrow and one problem were gone, what would it be?
I'd say all competition. Make it easier.
You'd eliminate competition.
I would eliminate the competition. I would want to have some best practices in place for us so that when someone new does come on, it's just they can easily step into the role.
So they know the standards of the company. Those standards maybe are higher than other companies, which would help to eliminate the competition. And when they come into the company, they feel those immediately. They're present, and it's almost like a non-negotiable. So if their standards were lower, when they come into your company, they would automatically feel this need to raise them. Wow, that's fabulous. You know, I've been an educator for many years, and I've coached a lot of employees on how to raise their standards, how to raise their performance. As a teacher, I did it with teachers. As an administrator, I did it with teachers. So I did it many ways that way, but my track record lies with literally hundreds of teachers and administrators, both, that I've worked with to help them identify problems and obstacles that would raise that. As a trainer, I'm very comfortable in presenting because I use an interactive approach. I'm a teacher, I'm still a teacher. I teach for a major university, and in about the last 4.5 years, I've taught over 52 classes for this university. So, and this university teaches specifically adults, and so I'm talking about androgynous learning, adult learning, where they actually have a chance to interact, because it's way different than teaching kids maybe that are in their 20s. So I offer this to you as an experience base, a reference, if you will, to help create this relationship with us and a confidence that we have in my ability to deliver. So how does some of this sound to you so far?
Well, it sounds good. I wonder how we'd get started. What, do you teach me and I teach everyone else? How does
So
it work?
there's a number of ways. What I would like to do is to initially put together the free leadership training with some information from you about your goals. You mentioned that you would like to be able to wave that wand to eliminate competition so that people have these high standards that they automatically came into and felt the presence of. So I would like to design your free training around that principle or those principles first. And then I would like to put together a package which could include, with your approval, some future training. And so what I normally like to do is I go into companies and I do a leadership seminar such as this once a week with all employees for 3 months. So that's 12 deliveries of different material that builds on each other. And then I sit down with each employee privately every week for the 12-week period, and I coach them through the coaching process to help them improve, to find obstacles, to get them on board with what we're doing. So what I'd like to do with you is to put together that package for you, and then if we could get back together, that would be great.
Sure. Now, is that included in this price, or is that something
That would be a
different?
separate fee
Okay.
beyond the free. And so it would be your acceptance of it, or we can change the package and adjust it as needed.
Okay.
So I'm going to make it a maximum delivery package with the idea that that's what you want, and then we can tailor and adjust from there. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good.
Let's take a look at our calendars.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Gail.